let's take you guys into game. Yo, Honorable Macro Terror, thank you so much for the $10 donation, mate. Says thanks for everything you do, Wardy. You're a pillar of StarCraft. The scene would be half of what it is without you. Sorry for not supporting more often, but saving up your StarCraft support money for something. All good, matey. I appreciate the $10. Please never anyone feel bad about not being able to support or not supporting a lot or whatever. I always appreciate you guys just being here and watching the stream. It helps out more than anything else. Without viewers, we wouldn't even have a baseline to do everything else from, so you guys rock. Thank you so much for the $10. Thank you also, Shingdings, for the 41-month resub. As usual, a lot of these new maps look amazing. Hope to see some in the official rotation. But these maps will, of course, make up the next ladder map pool. So some of them will absolutely be in future ladder map pools. Do not worry about that. That will be guaranteed that they'll be added into future ladder map pools. So no reason to worry about that. Exciting times. I see a forge on the way up here early, so Haas is already taking us into a little bit of a different setup here right from the get-go. Going to do something a little bit more aggressive than what you would usually expect. I mean, Haas cannon Russian is not the craziest thing out there. So he is going to do this off of a gateway, and then he's going to put the pylon nexus down. So this is going to be kind of like a macro like he's got macro intentions behind this. This is not just a cannon Russian died trying. There is absolutely a plan behind this to try and get some more damage done, basically. So, yeah, watching for that as we just have the couple of queens coming through, Ling's on the way out, and in the end, this forge doesn't really do a whole bunch of anything. He actually cancelled the forge, so turns out to just be a complete fake out and not really anything developing from there. I mean, it's still a little investment to invest into that forge initially, only to cancel and not do anything with it, right? So you could argue that that's a little bit problematic, but not the end of the world or anything at the same time. After this game, guys, obviously we're going to go into replays. We'll talk a little bit more about where the group is at in terms of overall kind of matches and so on as well. So we'll just get an idea of you know, because obviously while we're talking a lot about the maps and what the maps look like and stuff, this is still a tournament, so we're talking about who is looking to make it to the playoffs and who is looking as though they might be out in the group stage, etc. So we'll have all of those updates coming for you guys as well after this upcoming series. Will just give us a little bit more of a chance to talk about that stuff. As you can see now, we're probe hiding in the top right-hand side. I mean, when you've got Haas in play, you don't really know what's going to happen. It's unfortunate, though, one of these maps, as we've seen a few times now, and definitely comes out as a pretty comfortable macro-focused sort of map. You know, pretty standard setup in general. This is not one we're kind of thinking like, oh my god, like, how are you ever going to play this? It does come in from just the standard category, so it's not the macro category, to be clear. But it's just, like I say, it's standard size, it's just got a normal base layout, there's nothing too funky about it. This is just looking to promote good, healthy games of StarCraft 2. You know, these are the kind of games of StarCraft 2 which most people are asking for, right? It's like, I don't want the weirdness, I don't want the crazy. I just want, you know, to be able to take my bases, expand, and just go from there. And I think this map really does allow that, so yeah, just, like I say, nothing too crazy about this map specifically. And that's oftentimes good news. Fight Council is coming through. It's about to finish up as the single Ling tries to get a probe, but the Adepts will protect that. Haas is going to be able to go up to his third base, taking 2 extra gates. So that's going to be 4 gates with the Twilight Council done. That means we're going to go into Glaives. Might even go beyond 4 gates. I almost feel like this could be the setup or the startup for a whole bunch of extra potential aggression. Ling there is going to take down the probe off to the side, and these Lings now are going to try and get rid of this pylon. I mean, that's obviously where some of this pressure is trying to come from. Did he just warp these Adepts into a full wall? They're fully walled in there, no? No? Am I crazy? That's all right, well and good to keep them alive against the Zerglings, but what about when you actually want to move those Adepts onto the map? Onto the map? It'd be different if you had like a prism or something, because then obviously you can just lift them over, but I think the whole point of the gateway being there in the first place is that it's not going to be a prism, because that's just not part of the plan now. That's kind of funny. Not really funny for Haas, I guess. Kind of problematic for Haas, in all honesty, but that's definitely something. That's a new one. Can't say I've seen it before. Can't say I've seen it before. Cordray is coming out with extra Stargates coming up to continue into more Stargate units, it would seem. So, setting up into more of that as we speak. As we see these couple of Zealots just swiping their way through. Some of the Zerglings showing up on that third base, so just looking to take that down. And yeah, I mean, a couple extra Roaches, a couple extra Queens, all continuing out as well. So all of that's still coming up. And two Void Rays still in production as well. Continue to get this up and running. Two Roaches. Well, I can't believe these Adepts are here, man. This has been a game of just complete another kind of change of minds from Haas. He cancelled the Resonating Glaives as well, so he doesn't even have Glaives. Which, I mean, okay, that's maybe not a bad thing, because he's like, well, he saved some money on something he wasn't going to use in the end. But it's, again, you build a Twilight Council for what? For nothing at all. Apart from maybe to fake your opponent out enough so that these Void Rays are going to be extremely good now that your opponent has no idea what's going on. But, I mean, as much as your opponent doesn't have any idea what's going on, do you have any idea what's going on? How good of a position are we in Haas to really kind of dictate this game? How well set up are we to really make something happen here? I'm not 100% convinced right now, if I'm going to be honest. There's a few Lings do go nibbling out on that right-hand side, looking to take that pylon down. And just going to be seeing our Queens continuing through the middle of the map, so away they go. Continuing across to the center there. And yeah, just going to be seeing a few Void Rays out down the bottom, and I mean, here he comes. Basically, Solo ready to attack. You know, Solo, he loves his Queen Walks. He will not shy away from them for any sort of reason, and this has absolutely been true here so far as well. He's not shying away from them for any reason at all. Let's continue to Queen Walk all day. Lings show up already. I mean, there's no units here right away, so the static defense isn't even going to get a fair chance to come online. So, you know, right from the get-go, that's already a problem you don't really want to be dealing with. So that's an issue. Those Ravagers still coming through. The Void Ray is working on the bottom side. We'll take down this hatchery. And, well, Ravagers just straight through that. There's just no units to stop anything. Like, the Void Rays are countering. Yes, they kill the third base off. Eventually, you got to come home and deal with this. I like that Solo then has decided, okay, I see what you're doing. I'm just going to dive into the main. Makes a lot of sense, right? As we're just going to see these probes being pulled in to try and slow us down. He wants to try and get Tempest out. He believes if he can get Tempest out, he can eventually kill the Queens and guarantee that. And if he can kill the Queens, guarantee killing the Queens, he probably thinks that he's in a position to win this out. The first Tempest pops out. The other two are going to be very close, but I believe they're going to be halted. Yes, so only one Tempest gets out. That shouldn't be... Oh, no, two Tempests got out. So the second one did come out. Well, that is something. That's definitely going to have an impact. Like I say, you can chip you through these Queens and these Ravagers now with the Tempest from afar. The Tempest should, in theory, never die, because if they ever get into trouble, you just continue to run away, right? They're going to be far enough away, they shouldn't take any further hits. The problem is that it's 6 Voids and 2 Tempests versus everything, including 60 drones and Solar. They're able to just re-expand. So you're on a timer here as Haas, because yes, you've done good damage across the map, but Solar is resetting from that damage in the very near future. So if you, like I say, it's all well and good at the moment, but this is not something that's going to necessarily last forever. That's going to be seeing how Void Ray is still trying to hang out overhead. Ravager's still taking a little bit of a beating. Some Roaches taking some shots as well. And just going to be seeing the Tempest continue to fire through the Queens at the moment. Like I say, with that base coming back online on the other side, that's the biggest issue of all, right? Because that is the problem you just can't really do anything else about. Couple of Tempests just continue to pick their way through these Queens. Doing what they can to be of aid. That's just going to be too much in the end. Solar is going to have the requirements for victory, and he is going to take map 1 of this best of 3 against Haas. Moondance is a pretty map. I like this. This is the one with the in-base third. So you actually have an in-base third here. It's kind of cool. On the bottom right-hand side, down one game, is going to be our blue Protoss player from Prep Esports. This is Haas. Taking on the red Zerg player in the upper left-hand corner is going to be Solar. Well, you know what, you see Haas going to get very funky here right from the start. He's going to drop down his 2 gates and a forge across the map, so Puro Moondance is going to get the Haas cheese treatment. It's always the risk when we have Haas invited to our event, so this something like this is a possibility, and, well, here it is for now. A real possibility. Zealots on the way out, of course. I mean, the initial plan here is to take control of the Zealots and make it chaotic enough that then on the follow-up, you're going to be able to do very well for yourself and put yourself into a very good position. So that is the plan of action. Bronze pulling to try and deal with this initial pylon on the low ground. Always fun to see, you know, a pylon and a, you know, cybernetics core on the front of your base. It's a little bit of a statement, to say the least. Well, two Zealots are going to come around, and they're going to get set up. They're going to get themselves in a decent spot, as now we're going to see these drones coming back in, and the Zealots just going to go back and forth a little bit here to start out with. So, just getting that started initially. Cannon is about to finish, and that will get a few shots off before it goes down as the Zealots continue to hold their position here, and at the moment Haas is making this kind of work. Doesn't really show the features of the map too well, but I mean, it's definitely given us a it's definitely given us the chance of maybe a game 3. Rip Moondance, I'm sorry. You know, some map was always going to get cheesed on, right? Like, at the end of the day, some map was always going to get the Haas treatment of just getting cheesed on, and it seems like Moondance may just be it, as we see our Zealot's going to move forward, a bit of back and forth here. As you see the cannon flying up a storm, the Stalker with this as well, and just going to see those couple queens push back towards that natural ramp. So doing decently there, and yeah, like I said, just doing decently across the board, and Roach Roaring starting up from solo as he figures out how to fight against this properly. He might be able to give up the natural and then just go into Roaches and break out of this, but it does feel as though Haas has kind of got solo where he wants him at the moment, at the very least. At the very least, feels as though Solar is definitely kind of playing Haas's game much more than Haas is having to play Solar's game at all, so that's definitely something of a factor. Well, Stalker's going to find an Overlord out on the map, which is a nice little find. Two Stalkers pushing those queens. Back up through the middle. It's back and forth, just continuing. We are going to go back onto the hatchery and try and work our way through it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's hard to fight because obviously anytime that Solo starts to make progress, Haas would be crazy not to just pull back to his cannons and batteries, right? You know, and then you never really want to take a fight into that amount of cannons and batteries, and that's the big issue of all here, right? Is that it's so many cannons and batteries, it's going to create a lot of problems for you. So, looking a little bit rough here. We're going to see a Roach going down. These few Lings we're thinking about moving forward as well. She will finally fall. I think that was an inevitability based on everything else that was starting to happen in this game, so not too surprising to see the hatch end up going down. That's how a few units will just sit on the natural. I mean, what does Haas do from here? Does he ever expand? I mean, he's on his way to Bling. But does he ever actually expand, right? You know, expanding would not be a bad thing for Haas, right? Expanding is only going to give him more options and more opportunity to, well, just get out, you know, get on the map and continue to build up further into this game. So maybe you could just, doesn't even matter. We're not even going to go to that sort of stage. Soul's just going to give it up. Haas is going to get the game number 2. Soul's just like, yeah, I'm not playing out of this. Let's just go in. It's done. Into the game we go. It's 1-1. And in the top right-hand side, our blue Zerg player is Kaisi Gaming's Solar. And in the top left, we are going to see the Red Protoss player from Prep eSports. This is Haas. So it's cool to get Haas involved and see him try out the new maps. And I mean, he was the one player to try to do something crazy on this map, even if it didn't work the way he expected it to at all. He tried to take these bases in the PvP earlier, and then said, he actually messaged me saying, is it a bug? It doesn't work. Like, you know, I don't get any boosted income. Well, yeah, it isn't really meant to boost your income. Like, it boosts your income when you're not fully saturated. It doesn't really do anything beyond that. So unfortunately, Haas tried something which seemed crazy and cool and smart, but then it obviously just the way that the map and that sort of works. Honestly, I feel like that's, I don't want to say it's a bad feature, but it's an unintuitive feature, right? Because you got to really think, you know, it's natural just to think, oh, speed zone on the base, the idea is it's going to increase the mining speed, right? Well, yeah, that's maybe in part the idea, but it doesn't really work like that. So even if that's not exactly what the map maker even if that's not what the map maker made it for, it almost feels like, you know, naturally it's pointing you toward the idea of, oh, that's what we're trying to do. Okay, this time Haas is like, I'll take the gold base. He's like, screw the acceleration zone base. How about I take the gold? Because he's going to go full on Haas mode over here. When will these maps hit the ladder? I would say probably after Katowice. Not straight after Katowice, but how do I say? Before the next season of ESL Pro Tour, so probably like late April to May. It does have to, these maps do have to still go through the voting process, which you guys can vote on now. If you exclamation mark maps, make sure you vote on your favorites to see who will win the TLMC. But also then they have to go through an iteration phase, and then the results are announced, and then the maps get picked by ESL. They get sent to Blizzard for checking, and Blizzard do their things on them. And that process takes 2 to 3 months, so probably talking about around about April or May. It does seem that they're going to be using maps from this TLMC instead of maps from the previous TLMC. I would imagine that the maps from the previous TLMC have been put aside, unless there's one they really want to add to the ladder still. But I think this TLMC is a lot stronger than the last TLMC, and I can't think of a map from the last TLMC which I would say should be on the ladder, and which should be out and kind of... over these maps, at least, I can't think of a map which I'm like, oh man, I really sad that one didn't make ladder. You know, wish it was, wish they brought it in this time around. Not over these maps, at least. There's a couple maps which I kind of like myself, but these maps are really good too, so... Still doesn't know about the gold base now. We'll see how he continues to play around that here over the next little portion of this game. I hope you see Oblivion in ladder. But the pro players don't like Oblivion. Oblivion is a map that was not really well liked by the players in general. Oblivion won TLMC because it was in GSL, which was kind of, first of all, kind of silly. That a map that was in GSL was in the TLMC and all of that, but players didn't actually like Oblivion that much. It was one of the less popular maps in the last set of maps. These maps not in the World Championship? No, it would be kind of crazy to change the map pool just before the World Championship. That's pretty much not something that anybody wants to have happen. Like, actually nobody wants that to happen. Like, new maps are nice, but Actually, I think everyone wanted the maps to stay the same for the World Championship because it doesn't make any sense to change them. Because then you're forcing, you don't know if these, I mean, these maps would be way too near. Yeah, sent to Blizzard for checking. Like, Blizzard actually looks at the maps. Yes. They do. I mean, literally, that's what happens. That is actually what happens. Blizzard go through the maps and they make sure they go to the standards of the Blizzard thing. They make sure the names aren't something they can't upload to the Blizzard server. Blizzard do look at the maps, yes. They might not go over the maps and be like, oh, I don't like this natural expansion here, or this and that. They get told which maps are being added to the ladder, but they do have a role in then adding them to the ladder. And there is some things they have to check and make sure of before they get added to the ladder, so yes. I know we like to just be like, Blizzard don't do anything rah, but in this case, Blizzard actually do at least do some amount of stuff to make sure that the maps go on the ladder eventually. Haas is expanding to the back of Solar's gold base just to make this game completely ridiculous. So that is happening. He is just going, one gold base just ain't enough, It doesn't need the extra gases, but the extra gold minerals, yes please. Haas showing us all of the things you can do on the ridiculous maps as Aftermath is, well, getting some playtime today, but maybe not in the way that was most expected. But since, I mean, these are some crazy situations that are starting to pan out, huh? Again, a little bit wild as we do recall some probes down over here. The Void Rays are going to come through and just going to be seen, I mean, Solo is like, well, if I Queen Walk you, it's really easy to Queen Walk to my own base, no? I'm just going to be seeing the, Void's knocking down those rocks. We do have a Queen on the top side. I mean, he's actually just going to go through the top side in general and move to the other gold base. So this is going to be a question of, can Haas hold over here? He's once again going to try and start making some Tempests against this, so that's his plan. Once more, the Tempests to try and save him from this situation, which is, again, not exactly the prettiest as of right now. That one goes down on the Stargate, so that's going to be depowered. Probes already dropping. There's just no stack defense here, guys. There's a battery that's drained of energy, and I feel like Haas has just drawn himself out way too thinly on the map. And this is absolutely not going too well for him at all toward the end, as Ravagers and Queens keep on marching forward, keep on looking to just draw this game to something of a close. Those last couple of Lings will go down as well. Haas never changed. Yeah, I know, it's kind of ridiculous to watch Haas play StarCraft, right? Like, it's really something else. It really is something else. But unfortunately, I think Solar is going to be in just too good of a position now, and I really do not know what Haas does to get out of this. I think he actually is in real issue land here. Healing's moving through, Queens are pressing forward, and the Void Rays just having to dodge away from a couple of corrosive vials at the moment. Dodging away from a couple others once again, and just going to have our Lings and our Queens and our Ravagers all making their way down to the bottom side. Now going to go for the other gold base, which is where there are new Stargates trying to chrono boost out Tempest. So you kind of do want to be over here. I mean, if Haas can somehow get enough Tempests out, maybe, possibly there is a way. Let's see if he can get enough of these Tempests out right now. One of them going to get unpowered already. The next pylon under fire. There's Queens coming in for the flank because obviously Solar's just reinforcing from his own bases, right? Like, that's the sort of situation you put yourself in here as Haas. So that's kind of how it goes. I'm just going to be seeing GG called. Solar does have just a little bit too much, and that is going to do it. Solar gets the 2-1 victory over Haas here on Aftermath.